What's up YouTube, Cryptic TCG coming at you with another deck profile. Today I'm going to be showcasing Infernoid. Battles of Legend Terminal Revenge has recently come out and it featured a bunch of legacy support for a number of different archetypes, with Infernoid being one of them. This is a deck that I find is super fun to play and is very interesting with the mechanics that it uses, and it can be really competitive. It's super budget for the Infernoids because all of it was basically reprinted in Battles of Legend. I think one or two cards were missed, but overall you can pick up the entire core for pretty cheap. This is a budget version of the deck. We are not playing the Sinful Spoil stuff or the Diabellstar stuff. The deck is totally competent without that stuff. You don't need it to be competitive by any means. It still puts up a lot of interaction for your opponent's playthrough and a lot of unique interaction more than anything. And the deck's just super fun. So if anyone wants to pick it up, I highly encourage it. So let's get into the deck profile. First of all, we're playing 3 Decatron. This is the heart and soul of the deck. On normal special summon, it foolishes an Infernoid from deck, and it copies its level and its name and its effect. You're going to be looping this a few times. This is how you fill the graveyard, and this is just how you establish most of your plays and set up your interaction for your opponent. It's a crazy card, like I said. Level 1 fire because of the Diabellstar stuff. If you wanted to play that, you can, but like I said, this version doesn't play any of that, but it's totally up to your preference if you want to. Now for the big Infernoids, we play 2 Enoku. This one, all the big Infernoids have the summoning condition of banishing X amount of Infernoids from hand or graveyard to summon them, and they all have their own individual effects. So Enoku on summon is a Dark Hole, so it wipes the board of monsters for both players, and on field you contribute a monster when your opponent activates a spell trap, negate it and banish it. So you can send this off Decatron to gain this ability, so you end on a spell trap negate. So just another way to layer up your board. Really big beat stick in simplified game states. Just poking your opponent with this just allows you to attack over any big threats. And then the reverse of Enoku, we play Deviari. So on summon, Deviari's Heavy Storm, and then it's a monster negate. So Heavy Storm negates monsters, and then Dark Hole negates spells and traps. So that's just kind of the reverse, just something to keep in mind. Another big beat stick requires 3 to summon it, banish it from hand or field. You play 2 because the fusion requires these 2 as material, and sometimes you just need to keep bringing these back in order to simplify the game states, and allows you to break boards. For the other Infernoids, we play 2 Saitama's. So this one requires 2 to summon it. This one's effect is if it attacks at the end of the battle phase, it banishes a card on the field, non-targeting, and its effect is quick effect, tribute a monster, DD Crow something from your opponent's grave. So yeah, super strong. All of the Infernoids have 1 restriction on them when summoning. If the level or ranks of monsters you control, of effect monsters you control, is higher than 8, you can't summon them. So you can only summon them when it's 8 or less. So Saitama's is a 7, so you can summon this and then you can summon another Infernoid. But if you summon any of the big ones, that kind of locks you out. So you have to make sure you summon some of the smaller ones first before you summon these. Just something to keep in mind. Then next we play 2 Sajet. Sajet is banished 2, just like Saitama's. When this card attacks, you can unicorn something out of your opponent's extra deck. And then, like Saitama's, it's DD Crow by tributing monster. Same stipulation as all the others. Then play 2 Petrulia, the smaller Infernoids, so all the ones that are smaller than level 5. They only require 1 to summon them, but they can only be summoned from the hand. Petrulia has the effect of you can target a spell trap on the field, destroy it, but it can't attack the turn you activate this. This one is also DD Crow, but it's only on your opponent's turn, while these are during either player's turn. So just another thing to keep in mind, but yeah, solid card. Next, for the one of Infernoids, we play the one on Tondel. This one is probably the worst Infernoid overall. So it requires 2 to summon it. Its effect is if it destroys an opponent's monster by battle, it can attack again. It can make a second attack. And then the DD Crow effect that it shares with the other medium-sized Infernoids. Next, we play the 1 Piety. So, again, banish 2. This one, when it inflicts battle damage to your opponent, it rips a card out of their hand, so a bit like Spirit Reaper. And this one's also DD Crow by attributing a monster. Then for the smaller one, I'll also play the 1 Harmodic. Harmodic is... This one's fine. It just pops a monster on the field, kind of like Petrulia for spells and traps, and it can't attack the turn after its effect. Then we play the 1 Antra. This one is target a face-up card on the field, bounce it, and DD Crow on your opponent's turn only. Same with Harmodic. Then we play the 1 Primus. So this one is Night Beam, targets a set card on the field. Neither player can respond to this card's effect, and then it shuffles that card into the deck, and it's a DD Crow on your opponent's turn. So that's all the Infernoids. We play 18. You need the numbers just to summon them all and then cycle them back, just to give you all that grind game. It sucks if you draw multiple of them. It does happen. Sometimes you do just draw like 5 Infernoids and you've got a really limited game plan, but overall, if you get a nice mix of spells and traps with like a few Infernoids, you can pop off, set up your boards, and do a bunch of other things. So overall, I think 18 is the correct amount. I don't think you'd want to push it any higher. Onto the spells and traps. So one of the newer cards. This is Void Reignition. This card is crazy. On activation, you reveal a Void spell or trap or Infernoid in your hand. Then you discard your hand, and then you draw up to the same amount that you discarded. So card destruction. That effect is not once per turn. Then it has a graveyard effect. Except the turn is sent, you can banish this, target up to 11 banished Infernoids with different names, return them to the grave. So basically this just refuels your entire graveyard, and if you're doing that, 90% of the time it's just game. That you just push in for game. Your opponent thinks they've run you out of resources, then you banish this, you fill up the entire grave. Either they scoop or they you just make big bodies and just swing into them. But yeah, crazy card. You just max out on it. Then for some of the older Void spells and traps, play 3 Vanishment. This is Rota for all of the Void spells and traps. It has another effect while it's on field, where if an Infernoid monster battles an opponent's monster in damage calc, you can send this card to the grave, banish both of those monsters. It just lets you out like problematic monsters that just like can't be affected or something. One of the things that came up with this is just outing a Chaos Angel that otherwise couldn't be outed. But overall, yeah, really strong card. Then another one of the old ones, this is Void Imagination. So this on activation does nothing, but Infernoid monsters you control whose level is 2 or higher becomes level 1. So the stipulation of you only having up to 9 levels is basically removed because of this. Up to 8 levels, sorry. And its other effect on field is you can send this to the graveyard as cost to fusion summon using material in your hand or on your field. Or if your opponent controls a monster special summon from the extra deck and you don't, you can use up to 6 materials from deck. So it's kind of like a super Shaddoll fusion regarding that. Because of this stipulation though, it can be ashed even if you're not using that effect, so it's just something to keep in mind. But overall, if you resolve that for 6, you're normally winning the game just because of how much advantage you get. But overall, a really solid card. The one downside of this is, while it's face up, your opponent takes half damage from Infernoids. So it's just something to keep in mind, though. If you're going to push the game, just remove this from the field. Then we play the 2 Void Feast. This is Infernoid's like E-Telly on crack, basically. So on activation, you send an Infernoid spell trap from hand or face-up field. Then you special summon Infernoids from your deck, whose levels equal exactly 8. So normally, you typically will summon 2 Decatron and the 1 Saitama. So this 1 Void Feast will get you either 2 monster negates or 2 spell trap negates, or 1 monster negate, 1 spell trap negate, and a DD Crow. So it just gives you 3 interactions off of 1 trap card. It's just a really crazy card. It's probably the one thing you should Ash. If you go against this deck and you know what you're doing, you probably save Ash for this. It just gives you so much advantage and so much gas if it resolves. You're in such a good spot. And then the last one of Void card is Void Breach. This is another one of the new ones. So the continuous effect is all Infernoid monsters gain 100 attack for each banished Infernoid monster. Really relevant, helps you push the game. Just all the little ones adding up just makes it so when you swing, it just catches your opponent off guard how quickly you can establish lethal. Then it has 2 other effects. You can only use one of them per turn. You can only use one effect per turn of the 2. So the first effect is add a banished Infernoid to hand. The other one is summon a Infernoid monster from your hand, ignoring its summoning conditions. So it ignores the stipulation of having 8 or lower. So you can summon like one of the big ones out to like wipe the back row or something like that, just to catch your opponent off guard. Really solid card. You only need one of it, but it's highly searchable. You don't need any more. Then for the non-engine stuff, we play 3 Dark Fusion. This is a older card. Basically, it's polymerization for a Fiend Fusion monster, but one thing this has going for it is the monster you summon that turn cannot be targeted by spell traps or monster effects, so it just allows your Infernoid fusions to just only lose to Ash. Basically, is the only thing that your opponent can do to interact with it. It's just something that just allows your plays to be a bit more resilient and just push through. Just a really solid card in general, and this deck needs a few more fusion spells, and I think this is better than anything else. So yeah, 3 Dark Fusion. Then for the non-engine, we play 3 Thrust. Thrust is kind of like a silver bullet searcher in this deck. You just have a lot of like normal power spells that just catch your opponent off guard. Or if you want to play low to the ground and you want to grab like maybe just Dark Fusion to just get your plays through, you can. But this is normally searching one of 2 things, which I'll get to in a minute. Other non-engine there, we do play 3 Droplet. We want all of our monsters in the graveyard. This is just free. We have so many spells and traps that we can just activate and then just chain Droplet to send it for free. So Droplet's just free value in this deck. There's no reason not to play it. Just a really strong defensive card. Then we play 2 Talents. I'm tempted to bump this up to 3. I'm toying around with it. I think 2 is fine with the 3 Thrust. But a lot of the times where I was encountering is when you're trying to like push into like set up your board and you open like this or Thrust going first, you don't really have enough to threaten your opponent to respond really. Because like with Feast, if they're versatile with it, if they know about the deck, they'll just wait until their turn when you activate Feast to Ash it. So these are kind of offline, so that's what's kind of making me think about only just playing 2. But with more testing I might change the ratio, but for now we're just playing 2. Then for some of the power spells, so the one OG Card Destruction, so this deck's basically playing 4 copies of it. Just strong card. If you hold a handful of Infernoids, just allows you to cycle. The 1 for 1 Decatron's level 1, puts an Infernoid in grave as well. Just a really strong card. Reasoning, this is probably the best card in the deck. This is the main thing you're searching off Thrust if it's live. Your opponent declares a level between 1 and 12. You excavate cards until you reach a monster that can be normal summon or set, and then if that monster is of that level, send it to the grave along with all the excavated cards. If not, special summon that monster, and all the excavated cards get sent to the grave as well. So basically there's only 3 targets for this, and that's the 3 Decatron. So if you high roll, you theoretically could just mill like 30 cards and just fill up your graveyard and just kill your opponent. So this is the main reason to play this build over the Sinful Spoil stuff as well, if you own both. I think this is a lot more fun and has the potential for your plays to be a lot more explosive. But like I said, personal preference, but I really enjoy this. Then the 1 Monster Gate, slightly worse version of Reasoning, tributes a monster, excavates until you hit a monster that can be normal summon set, and then special summon it. Then the 1 Call By, just allow your plays to go through a bit better, just a generic all-round good card. And then the 1 Instant Fusion, so one of the new Infernoids is a instant fusion target, and it just allows you to play from there. So Instant Fusion is just a really strong starter for the deck. So that's the main deck. The count is 47. Like I said, this is a really chunky deck. We play a lot of names because we have to, along with a good assortment of spells and traps. But I think this is a really solid list. I'm probably going to bump it up a bit more, maybe just round it out to 50. But for now, this is what I'm happy with. Moving on to the extra deck. So here's the extra. To start off with the new Infernoid Fusion, we play 2 Infernoid Evil. This card is custom. It's exactly what the deck needed. Allows your deck to be a lot more consistent, and it just allows you to have a lot more range with your plays and the boards that you set up. So on summon, you banish an Infernoid monster from grave at cost, and then you foolish Infernoid monsters from deck up to that monster's level with different names. So if you banish, say, a Deviari or an Anoku, Anoku's level 10, so you'd foolish 10 different Infernoids. Deviari's a 9, so you'd foolish 9. So that just fills up your entire grave, and you're in such a good spot just from this resolving. That's not even the best part. It has another ability when it's sent to the graveyard, or when it's banished, you can add a void spell or trap from your deck to your hand. So you can search the Vanishment to get you copies of Feast if you want to set up that for going first, or if you need Breach to push for game. If you need Imagination to drop the level count, you can. It just has so much versatility. This card is just absolutely crazy. So we play the 1 OG Tiara. So this one requires Anoku and Deviari as named fusion materials, and then just as many Infernoid monsters on top of that, and then it has different effects depending on the amount of material. So I'll just run through them quickly. 10 material, each player sends their entire hand to the graveyard. 8 material, each player sends up to 3 of their banished cards to the graveyard. And then the other effects are just sending 3 from the deck, and then 3 from the extra deck. You perform these in sequence depending on how many materials. And when we get the Fiendsmith stuff, you can just fusion summon this for 10 and just wipe both players' hands if need be, and then you can just combo off from there. It's a really strong card, but mainly just summoning evil. This is just icing. This is no longer your go-to. It's just something nice to have, and it's a really big beat stick. I mean, it's a 3400 body, and it does come up sometimes, but yeah. So we just played the 1. Then for the links, so 1 Infernoid Flood. This is another one of the new Infernoid cards. So this is Cerevis on board. So when your opponent would summon would special summon a monster, you can tribute a monster, negate the summon, and banish it. If a card is banished from your graveyards, you can banish a card on the field, non-targeting. And then if this card is destroyed by your opponent's card, you can special summon an Infernoid from your deck, ignoring the summoning conditions. So if they out it, it just summons like a Noku or Deviari and like wipes the board or wipes the back row or something. Also, it's a 3k body, so it's just really strong, and it only requires 2+ monsters. So yeah, it's a really solid card. Then for the other link 4, we played the 1 Ambler Whale. So this is in tandem with Princess. This is the one card in the like fire engine that we play. Princess is just really strong for the archetype. It just lets you bring back Decatron, so you can get more additional foolishes, and it just allows you to play through boards better, and it's an extra interruption. So yeah, and it allows you to make flood really easily. So yeah, so that's those 2. Then the other link 3, we played the 1 Unicorn. This never really came up. I'm tempted to cut this for something else. Maybe like another extra deck target for Tiara to send, but yeah, for now it's fine, but I would consider changing this for something else. Then for the link 2s, the 1 SP, the 1 Heater. Heater's crazy in the deck, just allows you to get to Princess and just link climb. 1 Barricade Blocker. This is actually relevant for more than the discard. You have so many continuous spells and traps in this deck that you want to add back off of this just to give you follow-up, so the effect is actually relevant. Then the last link 2, we played the 1 Nightmare Phoenix. This came up once when it was co-linked in testing, and then I drew a card, and it put Void Reignition in the grave so I can banish it. on the next turn to fill up my graveyard again, but yeah, it was fine. Then on the link ones, play the 1 gravity controller. This is for evil, put me something in the MZ. If the opponent like ashes there or something, we can use this so we can at least get the search. Also, this is never stuck in the MZ because all the Infernoids can just tribute this to like DD Crow something. So yeah, so 1 gravity controller, and then 1 anima. Decatron, if it gets negated, it's still level 1, so you just make anima, steal something, and then just push through boards that way. Then the last 2 cards, the 1 Beatrice, we play suggest a 6. Beatrice just allows you to dump like cards that you're missing. Maybe you're just missing an extra Infernoid name, or you want to dump Reignition so you have follow up the next turn. Either or, a really solid card. And then the last one is Infernoid Entis, Elder Entity Entis. This is just to be sent off of Infernoid Tiara, so just to like pop a random back row or something. But yeah, that's the extra deck. Onto the side. So this is the side. This is just what I've come up with and what I'm most comfortable right now in current meta, but I can obviously change it. But I think this is what fits the deck's playstyle the best. So the only going first card that we play for the side is just 3D Barrier. I think this covered the most matchups, and I think it's the most impactful overall for going first. I did debate on Judgment, but I think this is just slightly bit better. But yeah, so this is the only going first option you have because the entire deck is built for going first, and then this is just extra. And going second, we have the 3 evenly matched. I think evenly matched is really well positioned right now. Just forces a lot of interaction. I opened this quite a bit in testing. It just forces a lot of interaction, especially against Memento. This forced like 4 back row. So yeah, the 2 evenly. 3 Lava Golem. Lava Golem is crazy in this deck. It's a card that can't be normal from a set, so you don't hit it off a reasoning or monster gate. It's one of the reasons why this deck can't really play hand traps, because of those 2 cards, and this is just something that bypasses it, and it's really well positioned right now for like clearing boards and everything, and it's a fire, which can come up sometimes. So yeah, 3 Lava Golem, 3 Dark Ruler, just for like voiceless boards, like buildable decks that are a bit harder to break through. This deck does struggle through interaction, even when you have stuff that like heavy storms or dark holds the board. You need to like lower the defenses first before you can do any of that. And then more back row removal, just the 1 Duster and the 2 Lightning Storm. Again, established boards, kind of this deck's kryptonite, a bit hard for it to push through. So you just need as many cards as you can to lower the defenses and just like equalize everything out. So that's the deck. Like I said, this is a super fun deck, super budget for people to pick up and play. Just a really interesting play style. I suggest picking it up and just play testing it yourself. Just learning the combos. It's really fun just to play, and it offers a lot of unique interaction for people that maybe haven't played this deck before, because this is quite an old deck, to be fair. Yeah, so this is the Infernoid deck. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you want a profile with the Diabell start and the Snake Eye stuff, I can do that if people want to see the differences between the 2 decks. Personally, I think this is the more fun version to play, but like I said, both of them can be competitive, especially this. It's just totally up to the player. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Peace.